I 12 år. Fast jag har varit väldigt länge.
Welcome to WatchMojo, and today we're counting down our picks to the most intense and frightening examples of internationally scary cinema from outside the United States and Canada.
Il segreto è, ho visto oltre la porta!
Number 10, Train to Busan. Themes of social hierarchy and classism come into play within 2016's Train to Busan. At the same time, however, this film from director Yong Sang-ho also never forgets to be captivatingly scary. The makeup effects upon the undead hordes here are convincing, with a sufficient gruesomeness that allows Train to Busan to feel at home within that long-standing legacy of zombie cinema. Meanwhile, the fast and hungry nature of the zombies here in Sang-ho's film is ripped from the World War Z and Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead mold. This allows for the intense pacing to reflect the fear present within the eyes of Busan's human protagonists.
지금 저쪽에서 오신 분들 아무래도 저희랑 함께 있을 수 없을 것 같습니다. 전부 저쪽 연결부로 이동해 주세요.
Number 9, Haosu. The stories behind the production of 1977's House, aka Haosu, belie the strange and hallucinogenic imagery that resides within this celluloid head trip. Director Nobuhiko Obayashi's young daughter, Shigumi, actually receives story credit for the film. This could lead one to believe that Haosu is going to be kid stuff. That isn't exactly the case, however, since Obayashi's film melds together absurdity and morbidity in a manner unlike anything else released to the screen. The tone of Haosu vacillates wildly, to be sure, but it's the unpredictability of this thrill ride that makes watching this vividly striking horror film so much fun. Number 8, Ringu.
この女に見覚えは?
Horror fans bore witness to a glut of Americanized remakes of Japanese horror movies during the early 2000s. The Ring from 2002 was one of the most successful of this lot, although for our money there's no beating the original source material, Ringu, from 1998. The plot of a cursed videotape remains relatively unchanged between both the American and Japanese takes to The Ring, but the visuals of Ringu really set the stylistic template high for its competitors. This was a horror film that connected with an audience and refused to release its watery grip. Number 7, Eyes Without a Face.
Je suis venu aussi au sujet de ma fille. Et le gardien m'a dit que c'était la vôtre. Est-ce que vous êtes certain, monsieur le professeur? Très certain. Hélas, monsieur, trop certain.
We as horror fans might occasionally take for granted many of the stylistic tropes that have been established by older films. Classics like 1960's Eyes Without a Face from French filmmaker Georges Franju. The screenplay here allows plenty of room for its main antagonist, Dr. Genessier, to retain understandable motivations for his crimes. Genessier has dedicated himself to restoring physical beauty to his daughter, Christiane, the latter of whom has suffered severe facial wounds from an automobile accident. mask worn by Genessier's daughter deliberately obscures these wounds, although Christiane's eyes express both pain and sorrow to the audience, eyes that may not have a face, but which burrow deep into our collective soul nonetheless. Number 6. The Whailing. This South Korean film from 2016 incorporates elements from multiple genres within its final product, including classic zombie cinema, occult horror tropes, and even old-school police procedurals. The Whailing is ultimately a scary film at its core, however, a modern horror classic that takes its time washing over the viewer, but bears much fruit for those dedicated to its narrative. Worlds of Eastern mysticism and an uncomfortable, almost impenetrable darkness lurk within the shadows of The Whailing, an exercise in atmospheric terror that doesn't hold the audience's hand, but instead almost dares them to come along for the journey. Number 5. Cure.
俺誰だろうそれって助けてよ頼むよ俺何にも思い出せないんだ
This Japanese horror film from 1997 may not be discussed as often as Ringu or Ju-on, The Grudge, but The Cure more than deserves its place as an influential slice of J-horror. Writer-director Kiyoshi Kurosawa inserts elements of police procedurals and psychological horror into this story of strange killings and even stranger killers, all of which are left with more questions than answers.
その人の名前は何て言うんですか？
名前はない。
ない？どういうことですか？お嬢さん。
Cure also has aged quite well over the years and comes as highly recommended for those seeking out a little bit of contextual history regarding Japan's horror boom during the late 90s and early millennium.
俺を逃がして俺の本当の秘密を突き止めたかったんだあんた一人だけで
Number 4. Wreck. The genesis of the found footage style of horror filmmaking can largely be traced back to Italy's cannibal holocaust from 1980. However, Spanish movies such as Wreck from 2007 serve as worthy connective tissue for that country's rich cinematic history that dates all the way back to the 1950s and 60s. Wreck proved that the found footage style could deliver some truly legitimate scares. This is thanks primarily to the anything goes atmosphere that lurks behind every corner of Wreck.
Que nadie se mueva de aquí, ¿eh?
Cinematographer Tom Doyle creates unpredictability and chaos via the first-person viewpoint, incorporating shaky camera angles before this approach became too old hat. The results that never feel cheap and remain fairly thrilling, even by the standards of today. Number 3. Audition.
山崎さんの作文の中の最優先事項だったことが崩れてしまったことはある意味で死を受け入れることに似ているっていうところとても感動したんです。
The reputation of Audition from director Takashi Miike has travelled fairly far and wide within horror circles at this point. This is despite Miike's film not really becoming a true horror film until its final act. This is when we realise that the widower character, Shigeharu, who's been auditioning potential new girlfriends, has made one serious mistake. Her name is Asami, and although Shigeharu's behaviour hasn't exactly been on the up and up throughout Audition, what happens to both him and Asami at the film's climax has to be seen to be believed.
またこうしてお会いできるなんて思ってなかったのですみません枯れてしまって
Number 2. Suspiria. world of Italian horror is vast, with many peaks and valleys. It also includes a number of crossover hits, including Suspiria from 1977. This masterpiece from director Dario Argento and screenwriter Daria Nicolodi inserts occult mysticism, dance, and even dark fairy tales into the mix. The outcome is as potent as anything released within Italy or anywhere else. A violent yet perversely beautiful film with gorgeous colours and iconic music. Additionally, the murder set pieces here are wince-inducing and beyond grotesque, an almost prurient exercise in bloody excess from one of Italy's most brutal maestros.
Chi c'è? Chi è Alice? Ti aspettavo. Sei l'americana. Sapevo che ti avrei incontrata.
Before we unveil our top pick, here are a few honourable mentions. Black Sunday, Mario Bava's moody Gothic masterpiece.
In the 17th century, Satan was abroad on the earth, and great was the wrath against those monstrous beings thirsty for human blood, to whom tradition has given the name of vampires.
The Orphanage, atmosphere for days.
1, 2, 3, toca la pared. Un, dos, tres.
Angst, not your average stalk and slash.
Meine erste Frage war, wohin?
The Platform, a dystopian sci-fi horror hybrid.
Fíjese qué milagro que nadie ha tocado los caracoles.
Don't torture a duckling. Small-town secrets and hypocrisy reign in this cult giallo. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1, let the right one in.
Jag kan inte bli vän med dig. Bara så du vet.
Vadå då?
Måste det finnas en anledning? Det bara är så.
It must be a difficult task for the average screenwriter to try and reinvest, as best they can, established creatures such as vampires. This is essentially why Let the Right One In affected so many viewers back when it was released in 2008. This Swedish film not only featured talented young leads with a legitimately compelling relationship and chemistry, Let the Right One In also made sure to include true, dyed-in-the-wool horror elements, as well as some sinister subtext that's never truly made clear.
Fryser du inte?
Nej.
Varför det?
Jag har väl glömt hur man gör.
Instead, this cinematic adaptation of Jean Avide Lindqvist's novel tackles thematic elements of love, violence, and loneliness, the latter of which might be the most frightening emotion of all. Do you enjoy exploring outside of your comfort zone when it comes to horror movies? Let us know your thoughts in the comments.
Attack, Dickie! Attack, Dickie, attack!